watching the Alberta Report, our daily Alberta election coverage. This is the first day of Alberta Report because today is the first official day of Alberta's 2023 election. Today is May 1st, 2023. Really pleased to come here, have you here today. We're going to try and keep it short and sweet. We're not going to keep you here all day, but we want to give you the real highlights of what's happened on the previous day's campaign trail and what is expected today. And we're going to do it at least every weekday of the campaign as we go through. So we're going to be talking about the what's happening today, the writ being dropped, the election finally getting officially started. We're going to talk about the different campaign launches and some really interesting polling data kind of broken down by predictions of different seats and really just how too close to call this election really is. And throughout this, we're going to normally have myself, but also opinion editor Nigel Hannaford and Western Standard News editor Dave Naylor. But we're going to be bringing in reporters and columnists scattered throughout Alberta who are on the ground covering the election day by day here. So we're going to start with, the writ drop. The election has been effectively underway for quite some time. This is Alberta's first election with an actual fixed election date. We've had fixed election windows before where we knew within 3-4 months roughly when it's going to be. And that's mostly been observed except for the time Jim Prentice kind of threw that one out of the window, much to his peril. But by having a specific fixed election date, it's resulted in this very long election. It's felt like we've been in it for a long time already, but it starts officially today. I guess really quickly, Nigel, do you think this is going to change anything in the minds of voters? Does this mean, because it's official, they're going to pay more attention today than they did yesterday?
I think people start to pay attention in the last 2 weeks. In fact, given when the Victoria Day weekend is, that's probably when everybody is going to be watching it. Right now, we've got a lot of people watching it, but just the way these things go, it usually picks up through the campaign.
Your Britishness is showing when you call it Victoria Day instead of May 2-4 or May Long.
The proper name. Proper British name.
Long may it flourish.
Yeah,
anyway,
there you go.
Here's to the Queen.
Dave, same question to you. Do you think most Albertans, I mean, political junkies aside who watch this stuff for all 4 years, does anything really change today other than, some electoral finance rules start to kick in, limits on how much parties can spend, how much they can raise, etc. But do you think anything really changes today? Are people going to start paying more attention now that it's official?
It may. It depends how entertaining it is. We've got the two main party leaders, Smith and Notley. They don't like each other. So this could dissolve very, very quickly into a very nasty election campaign. And if that happens, yeah, all eyes will be on it because it's good fun.
So we're going to get to the launch of the campaigns in a moment, but we're going to talk about what's happening today first. Today, Alberta Premier and UCP leader Rachel Notley,
Whoa.
Oh, sorry. Danielle Smith is in Auburn Bay in southeast Calgary, I believe, for a campaign event there. We don't know what's going to be happening other than some kind of campaign event where she will likely say something probably interesting, some kind of election promises. Similarly, Rachel Notley in Calgary, both party leaders in Calgary on the first day of the campaign. I don't think that should be shocking to either of you.
Battleground in Calgary.
No, it's going to be won and lost in this city, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have reporters on the ground there covering Rachel Notley and Danielle Smith in Calgary here today. So the campaigns launched over the weekends. Normally, parties wait until the election is officially underway before launching a campaign, but I mean, it's a weekend, and you want a weekend to launch a campaign. Everyone knows it's coming, so they did it anyway. We'll start with, we're going to bring in Jonathan Bradley here, one of our reporters based in our Calgary headquarters. Jonathan was on the ground at the UCP's launch, at least in Calgary. There was one launch in Edmonton. The UCP did two launches, one in Edmonton, one in Calgary. Jonathan, you were on the ground at the launch of the Smith and UCP campaign here in Calgary. Tell us, what were the main themes that Smith and her team hit on yesterday?
So the main themes that Smith and her team were hinting on was contrasting her to Rachel Notley. She was talking about, oh, I'm going to do this. And Rachel Notley wants to do the opposite. And you don't want that because it's bad for you. The big themes that she talked about were taxes. She talked about how Danielle Smith wants to do the no tax hike guarantee, whereas Rachel Notley has committed to raising business taxes. She spoke about public safety, and she talked about how the UCP wants treatment and, more police officers on the street, whereas the NDP has implicitly implied that they're going to defund the police and promote safe consumption sites. And then the arena was a big issue as well, where Smith talked about how we're going to build the new entertainment and sports district in Calgary, whereas Notley might kill the deal.
What was the general vibe or feeling in the crowd? Obviously, these are partisan crowds for both the UCP and NDP launches. It's normally diehard party members who want to give up the first really nice sunny Saturday of the year who to go to a political rally. But what was the general reception and vibe talking to the supporters at the UCP's launch?
It felt positive. Like, I spoke with a few supporters. I tweeted about what they were saying, and many of them were happy to be there and said that they think Danielle's going to win. Obviously, many of them voiced concerns with Rachel Notley. I remember I spoke with one lady who had grown up in Manitoba, and she told me that when she was living in Manitoba was when the NDP was in charge for about 30 years, and she said they completely destroyed the province. So there was a little bit of fear, but it was mainly optimism and happiness.
What do you think? What was the big takeaway from the event?
The big takeaway was that Danielle was talking about how she has a direction. She wants to keep moving this province forward. The person who kicked off the event was Alberta United Conservative Party candidate for Calgary Shaw, Rebecca Schultz. Schultz spoke about how Alberta is booming and we have this great economy and people are moving here and people love living here. And it was kind of like, if you want that to stay, you have to vote for us.
All right. Western Standard Alberta reporter Jonathan Bradley coming to us from Calgary. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
So Smith's launch in Calgary, obviously very Calgary-centric. The arena deal, though, I'm not sure it's a slam dunk, a political win, though, as a lot of pundits are saying. In particular, because I think like that kind of thing divides conservatives. More moderate conservatives tend to like that kind of thing. It's corporate welfare-y, it's investing in public infrastructure, but it's not necessarily socialist. But it's government spending money to ostensibly improve the community. But a lot of populist conservatives don't like seeing taxpayers' money go towards private business interests. Nigel, do you think I don't know, but do you think this is a net win for her?
Net. You don't like it, I don't like it. However, there aren't too many conservatives who are going to say, that's just too much for me. I'm going to vote NDP instead. And the big out for Danielle on that is that what the provincial contribution is going to is not actually the arena. It's everything that makes the arena possible if somebody else, i.e. the city and the Flames, want to build it. So
the city's putting money directly into the Flames arena. The province's money is public infrastructure and whatnot, kind of around the district.
And, getting rid of the mess and so forth. So, it's most unconservative thing to be doing, but I don't think it's going to chase conservatives away. They're still going to say, well, I really don't like the NDP. I suppose I could stay home, but I really don't like the NDP, so I better get out and hold my nose and vote for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we're going to bring in Arthur Green now. He is the Western Standard Alberta legislative reporter based in Edmonton. Arthur was at the launch of the NDP's campaign in that city yesterday. Arthur, thanks for joining us. Tell us what were the big themes, the key messages of Rachel Notley and her team at the campaign launch Saturday?
Notley says that she's ready for the election here in Alberta, and the main theme, Derek, that I took from the campaign was healthcare. Notley took the stage from her as they exited their diesel bus. There was a lineup of NDP supporters who gave her high fives before she took the stage with a live band. She kind of joked when she got on stage and said, it's just kind of a sunny day. Anything new, folks? She didn't really know if anything was going on. She told the crowd, but there were less than 200 people there. It was held outside of the Bicycle Cafe on 91st Street here in Edmonton. One of the main themes, like I said, was healthcare. She continues to claim and tell seniors that were in the crowd that they're going to have to pay for a doctor, and that Danielle Smith is planning on having Albertans pay for healthcare, which the premier, or the former premier now until the election ends, told us that this isn't the case. Other things she talked about was seniors' medications. She's going to make life more affordable for Albertans and protect pensions.
Okay, well, by pensions, I think she's referring to Danielle Smith's and the UCP's support for pulling out of the Canada pension plan and porting people's pensions into a new Alberta pension plan under Alberta's. That's been one of the dividing lines we've seen here. And Danielle Smith has kind of downplayed some of those harder, more autonomy and sovereignty-focused measures that helped her with the leadership election, but maybe a little less popular with the broader public. Kind of hasn't repudiated them, but definitely not putting them front and center the way she did in the leadership. The look from some of the video you caught on the ground there was pretty energetic. I mean, they came running out of that. I know you keep on emphasizing it's a diesel bus. I think people might get a chuckle out of the NDP using a diesel bus when they're supposed to be the party of EVs and whatnot. But they came kind of charging out of the bus like football players coming out of the locker room. They come charging out for the most part, pretty energetic. What was the mood there? What was the vibe at the launch among both the supporters and her Edmonton candidates?
Friendly and upbeat. I did hand out a bunch of Western Standard business cards while I was there, and I was the first person that the NDP saw when they got off the bus. And everyone was friendly and kind. Derek, spirits were high. Notley told people there that she's excited to hit the open road and talk to Albertans and deliver better education and create more jobs for an affordable Alberta. And the crowd really believed what she was saying. So spirits were high. Sunglasses were on, and I'm sure there'll be lots of pictures in the next 29 days of Notley with her supporters, babies, seniors, you name it.
Now, they had their campaign launch. Did Rachel Notley take questions afterwards from media, or was it just strictly a campaign launch, no media questions? There
was no media availability for the launch.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, Arthur. Okay, gentlemen, so we've got some very interesting numbers here. Now, we discussed this on the pipeline last week, data from Abacus, but it's been taken by 338canada.com. They're kind of a seat projection website where they take polls and they do their best using some different mathematical and algorithmic models to impose it onto constituencies to see the way it would actually break down by seats, because people can vote however you want, but if the votes aren't in the right place, it doesn't matter. So they've kind of come up with a breakdown, and then I think University of Calgary economist Trevor Toome, he's a great graphics maker. He's very good at taking abstract concepts and putting into a really easy to understand graphic. Now, what this shows is just how close this is. According to the Abacus poll, the two parties are statistically tied, dead heat, 36%, with a significant number of undecideds. But we've also got other polls that had the UCP with other very small leads, often within the margin of error or just barely outside of it. But UCP with a slight lead in Calgary. For the NDP to win, though, they've got to sweep Calgary because they're not going to get all those rural seats that they won with vote splits in 2015. The math is just not there. It's not happening. So let's kind of go through some of this here. The closest seats that will be decided by just a handful of votes, within a few hundred votes right now, are expected. Calgary, Acadia, and that's Tyler Shandro. So very, very interesting seat. And that's listed as the closest seat in the province that is a UCP hold. So a few hundred votes, one way or the other, are going to decide if he comes back to the legislature. Calgary Foothills, Calgary Bow, Calgary Elbow, Calgary Edgemont. Those are all except for Elbow, those are suburban seats, mostly in the north, except for Acadia, that's southeast. And Calgary Elbow, which is a kind of an urban yuppie. Sorry to people who live in Elbow, but it's a yuppie riding. And then Morinville, St. Albert in the Edmonton Donut, just so close to Edmonton, that orange wave emanating like the sun's radiation from there threatens to overtake it. But then within 3 percentage points, we've got Lesser Slave Lake, Calgary Glenmore, Strathcona Sherwood Park, Calgary Northwest, Calgary North, Calgary East, Calgary Cross, Calgary Beddington, Calgary Northeast. So many ridings that are projected to go UCP right now, but just ever so slightly. And with the exception of one, they all appear to be in Calgary. Dave, your thoughts?
Well, it's what we've expected all along, that Calgary is going to be the battleground. Rachel Notley has put her headquarters in Calgary, and you're going to get door knocked every which way but Sunday. If all the candidates have their games on, it really is exciting. And certainly in recent memory in Alberta, I can't remember an election that's going to be this close.
Nigel, do you think Calgary voters are just going to get downright annoyed? The NDP are spending massive dollars pre-writ already on advertising. If you went on the YouTube, you got it. You got bombarded with NDP ads, television, radio. They were spending huge pre-writ. Probably going to get more intense during the official election writ period here now. Do you think Calgary voters are going to be sick of it, or do you think maybe flattered by it? Because federally we get zero attention. No one cares about Calgary in federal elections, but in an Alberta election, we're the new Toronto.
We'll all be sick of it by the end, I'm sure. I think what this very close graph shows is that in those constituencies, the issue is not going to be so much as the ideas of the campaign, but the technical efficiency of the ground teams in getting out the vote. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you are down to things changing hands on 100 votes or less, which is what you're talking about there, then it really does matter that you get your supporters to the polls. Some parties are very good at that. Some have a lot to learn. That's really where that's going to be decided. And we all think it's going to be the rhetoric and the speeches from the leaders, and that's important. But in the end, it's going to be the foot soldiers in a half a dozen constituencies around Calgary who decide this.
Yeah. So right now...
and they will nag you. Definitely. Yeah. Yes, you will be sick of them. That was your question.
Yeah. So these projections are far from perfect. The polls are far from perfect, but they're very useful, and they can tell you a lot. More often than not, they're right. On this model, the NDP are still 9 seats short of getting to a 1-seat majority, which would be almost unfunctional, because then you'd have the NDP Speaker of the House, and you'd have a tie vote every vote for 4 years. If someone gets sick, the government could fall out a vote of confidence. It would be unworkable. And a single angry backbencher could hold the government hostage on a piece of legislation if they wanted to. But it's still 9 seats short. The math is just so, even though the polls are tight and the NDP are so far running a good campaign, even though the campaign only officially starts today, it's been going for a few months really. They've been running, I think, a pretty good campaign. It's well funded. They've had discipline. The UCP's had some missteps, but their math is just so damn hard because they're not going to be getting those rural seats. The only rural seat in the really close to call ones here is Lesser Slave Lake, which the NDP won in 2015. That's a far north seat. It's got large First Nation populations, and it's actually got a lower population than most constituencies. It's got a special rule applying to it because it's so big already that it's allowed to be more sparsely populated. Other than that, and then Banff, Kananaskis, those are the only 2, quote, non-big city ridings that they've really got on the list here. None of the Red Deers, nothing in Medicine Hat. They won 2 Red Deer in 2015. They won the downtown Medicine Hat proper in 2015, but not 2019. That got redrawn, so the NDP have no chance of winning Medicine Hat now. It's now a hyper-conservative riding. They've got, they won like what was it called? Yellowhead and stuff like that in the rural north. They had a number of these things, and they've just, Wetaskiwin and stuff like that. They've just got 0% chance now. So this just means that they're all Calgary. What are the chances that they can actually sweep the table on Calgary? They're going to need roughly 20 seats in Calgary. That seems damn near impossible to me.
The numbers are there, and right now the numbers aren't what the NDP needs. Again, this is what all the next 29 days is about. Is the arena deal enough to swing Calgary? Is there going to be a bozo eruption from the UCP? Are they going to get Premier Smith's photo wrong on the campaign bus again? All these little things can't.
The famous 2012 bus.
The famous 2012 bus. But yeah, everything's to play for. It's everything to play for. And when you're talking about a couple hundred votes, that's just, it doesn't get any tighter than that.
To your point, though, to swing 20 votes in Calgary would take a massive rejection of the UCP and Premier Smith. What kind of a bozo eruption would trigger that? It's hard to imagine.
It's like a hell of a lot.
I'm not suggesting that the UCP team should be complacent, far from it. But boy, oh boy, if I were a betting man, I don't think I'd bet on that. I don't think I'd put any money behind that prediction.
Indeed. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up there. I promise to try and keep it short and sweet. Thank you all for joining us. If you're not yet a member of the Western Standard, go to westernstandard.news, click on membership. It's only $10 a month or $100 a year to get you unlimited access to all Western Standard content. Thank you very much for joining us on the Alberta Report today. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.
The current Lethbridge feed grain prices are as follows. Cash barley's at $4.10, feed wheat's at $4.06, and corn softer at $3.96 per metric ton. In the milling wheat markets, July Minneapolis futures are a lower 11 cents at $7.92, with local hard red spring bids for May movement at $10.25 per bushel. In the oil seeds, nearby canola futures are down $1.70 at $701.70 per ton, with delivered values for May movement at $15.69 per bushel. In the pulse markets, nearby red lentils remain at 35 cents a pound, and yellow peas are trading at $11.50 per bushel. In the cattle markets, June live cattle lost 45 cents at $165.02 per 100 weight. For more information on grain marketing, call me at 403-394-1711. I'm Sean Smith at Marketplace Commodities, accurate real-time marketing information and pricing options.
Canadian Shooting Sports Association. Without the CSSA, our gun rights would have been taken long ago. These guys are on the front lines helping to draft smart and intelligent firearms regulations and legislation in Canada, and more importantly, educating the public about how we keep guns out of the hands of the wrong people. Become a member. It's absolutely worth every penny. You can become a Western Standard member for just $10 a month or $99 a year for unlimited access.